Oh my god, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
Gracias, Craig.
He's so cute.
God, Craig, you are so sexy.
Oh my god. Craig's flirting with me in the DMs right now. Again, every single day. It's so amazing. Anyways.
There should be a conclusion for like the last podcast.
Huh?
There should be like a conclusion between you and Craig, like a 4,000 word like slow burn.
At the end of this podcast, Taylor's gonna ask Craig to marry them.
Yeah. It's gonna be a awful ceremony. I'm gonna make it
Craig is going to reject them.
I'm going to cause problems on purpose. Yeah, that ceremony. Anyways, so welcome to this podcast. Today we're going to be talking about mental health and all of that stuff as it was written. Okay, so first off, before we get into the discussion or into any of the facts, I just want to give a couple resources that you may or may not need. They will be linked in the description, but there's some helplines that I would like to give if you are having struggles with mental illness or any kind of just general, like anxiety, depression, that kind of stuff. So there's a couple helplines. This one, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like SAMHSA's National Helpline. It's 1-800-662-HELP. The next one is the National Suicide Hotline, which people have described to me as only effective because they get you so frustrated with it that you forget about the attempt. Which is 800-273-8255. And then the last one that I have is this website called 7 Cups. It's a place where you can get paired up with a volunteer who can just listen to your problems, listen to whatever you want to talk about, and apparently it's good. For donations, Planned Parenthood is always good, but also Mental Health America seems to be a good one. But yeah, that's just resources, getting that out of the way. And now we can talk about, just stuff. Do you have anything that you want to add, Bobby, before?
I do not. I was just going to ask the editors off screen to put certain links in the descriptions, but you pretty much covered all of them.
Yee. Just link some stuff, put numbers in the description, yeah. Okay, I guess I'll just... Ooh! Someone left. I don't know. That's fine. Oh my god, Irene! Okay, here we go. Statistics. I have some statistics. Do you want to, Okay, how about this? We're going to read statistics. If anyone wants to talk about them, join in. Just unmute and be like, yo, I have something to say about this. Okay, so...
You say about this.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Shveta. Go ahead, talk. What do you want to say? I'll even mute myself. Look. The spotlight's on you right now, Shveta. Go ahead.
Okay, wait, I got cut out. I got disconnected for a while. Did you say anything relevant?
I was just talking about helplines, like numbers that you can call, and like resources as well as places to donate if you want to support just like some really good organizations for mental health, that sort of thing.
Okay, cute. Thank you.
Cute. Okay.
How about any organizations that we're not supposed to support?
I don't know. I feel like we covered some. I mean, like, I don't know anything about like mental health organizations, but don't support PETA, Autism Speaks. Just like general organizations that you don't want to support. How about companies? Let's talk about capitalism right now. Don't support Tesla, Amazon, Shine. I don't even know how to say it.
Nestle either.
Sorry?
Nestle. Don't support Nestle.
Wait, isn't Sheen that character from Jimmy Neutron?
Well, don't
All right,
support
so we've
Sheen.
already gotten off topic.
Don't
No,
support
I
don't
think we're
support
doing
Sheen from
good.
Jimmy Neutron. Sheen from Jimmy Neutron is disgusting, and I hate him. But also don't support the company. Fast
You know,
fashion.
Anyway, Taylor, you had some statistics you'd like to share?
Oh, I would love to talk about some statistics. Okay. So just these starting off with some simple ones. Americans becoming more open about mental health. So 87% of American adults agreed that having a mental health disorder is nothing to be ashamed of. And 86% of American adults said they believe that people with mental disorders can get better. So just some, stuff about destigmatizing mental health and mental disorders, that sort of stuff. Does anyone want to talk about that?
I do.
Cute.
I think this is great, actually. This is better than I expected. And I think the reason why it's better than I expected is because I feel like the way that our school specifically, and they're a good school, but just the way that we handle mental health, and maybe it's just the education system in general, but the way that the whole like the idea and just like what it is handled isn't done very well. So I think that's why I was surprised that it's being so, destigmatized now, which is, great. We can talk more about the flaws of the education system later if we want to, but
Yeah, I have
those
a
are
thing
my
about that.
thoughts.
Please don't skip the joke. That's one of my big things.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's actually why I included this because I thought that it was very interesting. I have another. No, that's not what I was thinking about. Oh wait, no, I do actually have a different. Okay, here we go. This is something that's interesting to me, and there may be some reasons for it. But we can talk about it. So this question was people with mental health disorders can live normal lives. And this is percentage of people who strongly or somewhat agree. So 77% of adults 18 to 34, 86% of adults 35 to 64, and 90% of adults 65 plus. So older people think that people with mental health disorders can live normal lives more so than younger people, according to this study. But also, statistics can conceal as much as they reveal, so it may just be that older people aren't alive. So the distribution of people is uneven. Anyone have anything to say about that?
I think that's pretty interesting. Especially considering you can't really make like a universal statement like that, like very well, I guess, like in a way that can accurately cover all of the types of um like mental disorders and all that stuff. So the fact that a lot of that, like there is such a wide number of people that agree just in general, kind of shocks me.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a very broad question. But yeah, something that I just wanted to touch on is that maybe a reason behind this is that younger people are more educated in these things and they can realize how detrimental some of these things can be for people's lives, and they may agree with that statement less, but definitely it's yeah, like people with mental health disorders, it's a very wide range of things, but yeah. Okay, Bobby, do you have one that you want to do, or should I just continue?
Too. Okay, so according to a study done by Harvard, yes, that Harvard, they found that college students are actually increasing in anxiety. They found that in fall of 2018, in a national health assessment, 63% of college students in the U.S. felt overwhelming anxiety in the past year. And in that same survey, they said that only 23% reported being diagnosed or treated by a mental health professional for anxiety in the past year. So, and some of the factors they cited were things like sleep disruption caused by drinking excess caffeine and pulling all-nighters. And another thing is social media. So, what are your thoughts on that? How do you think that's an accurate assessment of like adolescents our age? What do you think?
I mean, oh, go ahead. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very it's not surprising at all. If anything, I'm surprised that there aren't more. There isn't a higher percentage now, but like 60, you said 63, that's pretty high. I Yeah, I mean, I kind of have this whole like thing that I do want to say. I don't know if it's too much, but I'll say part of it anyway. I think a lot of we can talk about the issues later, but now I think part of the issue is that um maybe it's the pressure because it's, in terms of education and like getting a degree or graduating high school and, all that stuff. It feels like we're all being like whittled down to like a number at the end of the day. And I think that's probably why there's so much pressure in doing well and why so many people want to, they stay up late and they're trying to finish a project. There's also other cases with, not being motivated from personal experience. It's very hard to deal with. And also, the whole COVID situation definitely worsened my social anxiety. I am afraid of going to grocery stores, which is not good because that's back to the statistic that Taylor presented with just like living normal lives. It's you should go to grocery stores in the future to like buy food, and that's normal. So being afraid of that is not good. Um, so I think a lot of it comes down to society. Okay, that was very vague, but like
Okay, Joker.
I know I'm so funny.
We live in a society.
No, like okay, it's like with what as high school students, I don't know about you, and I know like how many times I've told myself like your GPA it's like it matters, but it shouldn't, or like this little grade matters, but it really shouldn't. Is because at the end of our high school career and just like our quote unquote future is based on the number that we have at the end, which is on a
Capitalism.
4.0 scale. And then even after that, with capitalism, we love that. After that, after we graduate, after we get a job, that whole thing is also just a number. How much you make in the future is like, how much success you can have. And I think that part it's really sad that that's a thing, but here we are in a society. So that's all. Welcome. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
All right, you brought up another interesting point there that I was going to address to later, and I'm willing to bet Taylor was also willing to address, which is COVID. Which is, how do you think COVID has had an impact on mental health as a whole? And this is open to anyone, not just Irene.
A big thing that I've experienced is like the fact that I'm being left out of a lot of things now. Like my parents are in a more at-risk age group. And so like and they're like very still like overprotective. And I still don't have my driver's license. So already like there are a lot of things that like are being stacked on top of each other that makes it harder for me to like go out and like live a normal like teenage years, be a normal senior. But like a lot of my friends are still like hanging out with each other, like they're still wearing masks and stuff, but like, and I'm at home being left out of things. So it just makes like me kind of doubt my self-worth in a lot of ways, where it's like, okay, so like didn't nobody just like want to invite me to things? Like a lot of my friends got together and then they called me. And I was like, thanks guys, this really helps. This really helps a lot actually. I really enjoyed this. Like, it's stuff like that the little things that really start to pile on top of each other.
Yeah, I know how you feel, Kate. My parents are, especially my dad. They're they're very at high risk when it comes to COVID. So even though I was able to go out with like a couple friends over the summer, it if I don't know, it's just and we're not really. None of us are all really doing, from what I see, we're not really going out, hanging out as much with people. So it's like good, but also just the idea of not going to school in person. Normally, when it started last March, it was just like, "Oh, cool, we don't have to go into school," which was actually pretty good for my anxiety for a while because just sitting in class was very anxiety inducing for me. But it definitely got worse because, being this whole not being in school and just the virtual concept took a lot of what I actually liked about school out of the picture, like hanging out with friends and stuff. So I would think that if I were to go in person, it would definitely be better for my mental health because I would at least be able to see people. But it's also like it's been going on for so long that it's gotten to the point where I don't think it would actually be good. Like if anything, I should have if I wanted to, but I can't because my parents are at higher risk, is I could have started in-person school in like September, but it wasn't safe. So I don't know. I never thought that my anxiety or just mental health in general could get this bad, but here we are, almost a year later.
Yeah, personally, I actually had kind of a mental health breakdown around. I don't even remember. The days all kind of blend together, so I honestly don't even remember when it was. I think it was for Christmas, maybe, where I just couldn't take it anymore, and I was like, I am so overwhelmed, so anxious, so stressed that like I actually thought my thought process was if I break my own arm, then I can get out a lot of my obligations, and maybe I can gain a chance to um gain my footing. Obviously, I didn't do it. I was talked down, and I'm okay now. I have a therapist, but like I wouldn't have done that. I don't think I would have done that if it wasn't for COVID and being locked up and not being able to have that social release and not having that work home separation. I feel like that's a huge thing too is work home separation. How there's a state of mind where at home you're in your own space and you're free to do whatever, but and then there's another place like work or school where all the academics and all the stress stays. And with COVID, there is no more workplace. It's just all one place, and there's no distinction between work time and relaxing time, and it makes that very difficult because I think it degrades motivation, it increases stress, and a whole bunch of things. But yeah, does anyone have anything to say on that piece?
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Bobby, about like the whole thing about it, like our homes also being like the places where we do work, because I can literally not get away from my parents, and I just need an area where like it's my space with my friends sometimes, or maybe just me alone, and that was school for me. I being in the same building with my parents for months straight is slowly chipping away at me. It's slowly chipping away at me. I cannot do this. It's gotten to the point where I'm genuinely like very excited for college. Where I used to be like very anxious at the thought of going to college about being on my own and like not having anyone else to rely on or lean on but myself. But no, the fact that I can go to another place, hopefully, the fact that I can go to another place is exciting for me now.
Agreed. I kind of feel that way too. As before, I was kind of like scared to go off on my own because I don't know if I was like I don't know if I can do this. But now it's just like no, I love my family and I love them a lot, but I'm a bit sick of being cooped up with them 24/7. You know?
Opposite, actually. Like, you guys know before I have some like problems, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going anywhere for college, so I feel like I'm stuck here anyway. But like, I guess as you grow older and like, stick with your family a lot longer, you get to know what makes sense. And I mean, at the end of the day, like we're all aging. Stress gets to all of us. And I think that quarantine really does make you understand other people and their problems as well. Like, I used to hate a lot of aspects about family, but I kind of understand the dynamics, even though I don't fully. You know what I mean?
Not really, but I'm glad that you do.
No. Like, I don't like situation. Like, as you said, I don't like the situation, but I can understand where other people come from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of the major things that happened during this quarantine was actually I want to say pretty recently. It was a couple months ago. I think my parents finally came around to understanding that my whole thing with mental health and my anxiety and stuff was not just like a one-time thing. It was like an issue, like a long-term issue. And I'm glad that they finally are, kind of adapting, if you will, and taking it. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't care about my mental health, but I don't think they took it as seriously as they should have, because and part of the reason was where they grew up and when they grew up, it just wasn't a thing that they talked about, So I can't 100% blame them, but I'm glad that this quarantine, at least something good came out of it. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from, Shveta, a little bit.
Sorry, go ahead, Kate.
Oh, that really hasn't been my experience. And Irene and I have like boomer parents. So we kind of like get each other kind of, but that hasn't really happened with me. My parents still kind of are like, how are you doing? And I'm like, fine. And it never goes deeper than that. And I have not been to any sort of like therapy or like anything like that since September, I think. This has not been the longest I've gone without it though. But it's kind of sucked for a hot sec. But yeah, I think I've just gotten further from understanding my parents. But yeah, I haven't sadly not really had that experience. But yeah, I'm glad that you guys are. I'm really glad. It's nice to see you guys like being able to understand people more and family members and such.
I kind of have both ends of the spectrum. I have one family member, one parent that is like very open and accepting to mental health things and neurodivergent things, and I have another who grew up in an environment where they had to suppress all their mental health and emotions and things. And so one, it can be very understanding and one isn't. I don't think that's their fault. I think it's just a product of this society they were raised in. And yeah. Does anybody else have any?
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, does anybody else have anything else to say on this?
I just have a fun fact. I was diagnosed with autism in 6th grade, and my dad found out yesterday, apparently. Like, we've...
What?
So funny.
What the fuck?
He just doesn't remember any conversations that we have about anything. And, like, my mom told him when I was diagnosed in 6th grade, and then he just didn't remember. So I was, like, yesterday, I was just like, yeah, I was just talking about, like, something that, like, happened when I was a baby because I was autistic, and he was just like, I didn't know you were autistic. I was just like, bitch, you are too. Like, this should not, like, I, like, 100% he is this, like, we share so many of the same, like, traits that I was diagnosed with autism with. So I definitely think that he has autism, but he just doesn't want to admit it or whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, fun fact. My dad learned that I was autistic yesterday.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I think that on a tangent, that neurodivergence, specifically autism and things like ADHD and other things, are becoming more and more addressed because they're being recognized more and more. I don't think that they're being created. Like a lot of anti-vaxxers claim that it's because of vaccines that are creating these things. It's not. There is no evidence to suggest that. but I think it's because once it was identified and we were like, okay, we found these things that are present among most people. They started to be like, oh wait, that person has it, that person has it, and that person has it, and that's why there's more today than there was, say, 20 years ago. On the topic of neurodivergence, one of the other things I don't know if any of you can talk about, but one of the things I found interesting is that people with neurodivergence are actually having a very difficult time adjusting to quarantine lifestyle with things like anxiety, depression, and stress. What do you have any thoughts on that? I know you probably, it might be not because none of you full tailors, but you know what I mean.
I hate it.
Me too. I'll speaking from personal experience. I know this isn't exclusive to neurodivergence, but I find myself being a lot more drained, despite the fact that I'm talking to less people. I find that I'm lacking motivation a lot of the time, and I think that's an ADHD thing where I can't make myself focus. And I'm finding that feel like I'm losing control of my life, despite the fact that I'm trying really hard not to.
Oh yeah,
Me
bro.
too, Bobby.
My back hurts all the time.
Oh, dude, same. My right
Honestly,
leg, every time I get out of bed or like after sitting down, I'll like move my right leg or like get out of bed and my right leg is just not there. It's like not, it's painful and I don't know why. Also, I think the problem is that being less social has made my social battery run out so fast now. So even like after these podcasts every week, I literally like can't talk to anyone afterwards. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, me too. On topic of like back things, I already had like a pre-existing back condition that I found out about around this time last year actually. And my back hurts more and more and more every day, and I still can't motivate myself to do physical therapy because every day, like, I get out from school and I just am incapable of doing homework. So, like, we were talking like earlier before the podcast started, but like, I have 2 projects I need to work on today because they're due tomorrow. One of them is an IB thing, so I need to put together an entire presentation today because I'm presenting tomorrow. And I also have to work on a lit project because I could not motivate myself to do those things because I'm just incapable of like pushing myself to actually do something that wasn't forced for us to do in class. Oh, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Like I can't do anything anymore. Like there's no environment that's like forcing me into doing something. So like if I have free classwork period, I simply sit there.
Oh yeah, my art project is just not working. Like I haven't all my friends in art class, so Shweta and Tisha. How's your studio work going? Because mine isn't. It just simply is not going. I have a plan. I know what I want to do, and it's not going to take me that long, but I just can't do it. I'm not okay. Hi.
Got hit with like a flash of that. Sorry, never mind. Anyway, I'm procrastinating on it because I don't want to go to school. Don't want to go to my stuff. I mean, yeah. This is so weird, but I'm disagreeing with you on a lot of things on nowadays because.
Shweta, you are very muffled. Sorry.
Sorry. It's my mic was my clothes. I think I have very different experiences than you in my my experience with COVID. But like I generally work better when I have free periods. Like I don't do work during class. I do work in free periods. Like
It's
Irene
actually,
knows.
yeah. It's actually funny though. I think the reason, because I used to be extremely productive like last spring when all of the classes were async and we didn't have any Zoom. And I think it's because there was no schedule. And I talked to you, Shveta, about this before. The whole Zoom thing stresses me out. I hate Zooming, especially when I have to have my camera on. I hate it so much. And it's like personal reasons, but it's also just like I can't stand it because it's, even though it's not, we technically do get some async time, we don't. And I can't be productive because my whole day just feels like it's still blocked out in those classes and I can't do work. It's the worst experience. I hate it.
For me personally,
Yeah.
I feel like class structures are stupid now because we're not in a classroom setting. And I'd rather work with someone in a different period but in the same class than like work with people in a class period that I don't talk to. Like I work a lot with Rachel on econ stuff and I don't even have her, like she's not even in my class. Like it's really arbitrary that we still have like people in class that we have to like work with and like not go in a different period even though we all have the same like workload. Like why can't I just not come to Zoom and just work with my friends?
The amount of rage that I feel every single day when I have to log on to a Zoom class in order to just be patronized by my teachers. And like this is very few teachers that actually do this, but still, like I log on to Zoom and at least two of my teachers, sometimes it's another couple of them, whatever, that just patronize me. like they treat us as if like it's any other environment. And I know that they're going through like the same issues that we're going through, but for some reason, somehow, because we are students and they are the teachers, our struggles are like non-existent. Like I don't know what exactly goes through their brains, but like I am not mentally, physically, emotionally present in these times to do the things that you expect us to do. How do you expect us? This is going to be such a targeted attack. Never mind. I'm not going to say this because I feel like this might end up getting to that teacher. But
Wait, is one of them the one I'm thinking of that we share?
I don't know. No, it's not. It's not.
Really?
Yes, because she's gotten a lot nicer now. But it's another couple of teachers that just expect everything to be normal for us now. And like it's not, and I don't understand why they don't just adjust the workload for us, because the amount of effort that I put into my classes versus the amount of product that I end up churning out, it's the same amount of effort. It's significantly less amount of product though, because it takes me longer to do the things that I'm used to doing in person in school, because this is just completely different for me.
Oh,
Like,
and also they're
we're
like, oh yeah,
humans.
you chose to be in this class. Like you chose to be in this class. No, I didn't choose to be in an online environment. I didn't choose
Exactly.
pandemic on my hands. Like,
oh my god, like in art class, like was it Friday or Thursday or whatever, we were talking about our math class, and this kid that we both know who we're talking about was just like, well, you chose to take this math class. Like, okay, yeah, but guess what? I did not ask COVID to exist. I didn't ask. And also, you all guys pretty much all know about my personal experience with teachers not understanding mental health. I don't know if I should just explain the situation to our lovely listeners that probably aren't listening, but
Call her out, queen.
okay, cool. So this teacher, okay, I was already struggling with mental health, as you know, before school started, but it wasn't the worst. And then when school started, it got even worse. And then by like, I think November, it got really bad because of some family issues. And, you know, I thought that I was going to be able to handle it. I wasn't, you know, which is really fun. And I woke up one day and I started crying. You know, you heard yourself crying yourself to sleep. No, this is different. You're crying yourself awake this time. So I did that. And my mom was like, okay, you know what? You're just not gonna go to school today because you can't. So I missed a math test and a presentation. And you know, I messaged my math teacher and they were very, very understanding. They were like, I understand not being in the right headspace to take a test. It's okay. So that was fun. And then I sent a message to the presentation teacher. And let's just say, actually, no, it was my dad. This was later on. My dad emailed this person. And they were, Shweta, if you can chime in if you want about this part, because I wasn't in class. But she basically, like, trash talked me in class to, like, the other students. Basically saying that I was pulling shit, which I wasn't at all. I don't know how you can fake a mental breakdown because, you know, I couldn't. You can't fake a mental breakdown. You can't fake family emergencies. Go ahead, Shweta.
There's under a tone that you were trying to escape the presentation, and I think. But
Yeah,
we don't
right.
need to like talk.
Yeah, it was very bad. And then later on, said family situation got worse and I had to like I had to take a mental health break for a while. And we had this kind of discussion thing going on in that same class. So I had to contact that same teacher and she was like, I'm very sad that like I'm sorry that this happened to you. And the next paragraph she was like, I hope to see you in class. It just ever since, like, there was always something off about this teacher, but oh my god, I don't know why teachers, and this is back to the education system thing, I don't know why they say, and most of them are fine, they're always in the beginning of the school year, they're always like, if you have any, you know, if you're struggling, whether it's like on like in academics or if it's just like mental health and stuff, like talk to us because said, like, for example, biology, all this information will still be here. Just take care of yourself. And they're always very understanding. But I just don't know why some teachers aren't understanding. Like, why can't you just be nice about it and know that I'm not faking this? Anyway, thank you.
Period.
If
Yeah.
Okay, that leads quite nicely into the next topic I was wanted to discuss, which is how do you guys feel about, so schools have started to do more things related to mental health, more counseling, quote unquote, more things like that. How do you guys feel about that, and do you think it is in its current form effective?
It is not
No.
effective at all. Not in the hell no.
That's about the reaction I was expecting. I was gonna be like, no, it's not. If I might speak my piece first, sorry, I don't mean to do that. Right. I just want to say, I think, in my opinion, the current counseling situation is too focused on when fixing things before it's too late. It doesn't worry about it's they use it as a last resort in sort of ways. Like, they don't care about your mental health unless you're on the verge of ending your own life. And I think that it should start way before that point. I'll now open up the floor to everybody else.
So, I don't know if we're all familiar with the survey, but I'm really good friends with the person who made the survey. And for context for our listeners, this survey was something that a person in our class sent out to all of the seniors, asking like how our mental health is right now and all that stuff. And then at the end, it was like, have you contemplated ending your own life? And there were unfortunately a lot of responses positive. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because I don't know how much they'd be comfortable with me sharing. But essentially, it got sent to the school district and they are doing next to nothing for people in our grade who are like, it was asking like about our mental health and like if we can, like, how it's been since like the start of quarantine and if school has made it worse or better, and the majority of people have said worse. I think there was only like 5 people who said better. I don't know why, but like, the fact that our school district is doing next to nothing when there's literal like empirical evidence that that like that school is the reason why a lot of us are feeling so terrible is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that then they go ahead and they're like, here's some breathing exercises for you to do if you're ever feeling down. Like, okay, yeah, you could give us breathing exercises, or you could actually do something worthwhile to help us out, because you guys are part of the reason why a lot of this is so terrible right now. I'm really frustrated about it.
No, oh, go.
Oh, sorry. Who's going? Teacher, you can go.
I also wanted to point out that like teachers like to contradict themselves, because they'll say something like, oh, go outside, take a break, have fun, and then they'll give us mountains of homework and be like, oh, well, make sure you complete this first, and then you can take a break. And by the time you complete the work that they give you, there's no time to take a break because it's night. And like it would just make everyone's lives easier if they just assigned less work and then didn't contradict what they were saying about going outside and like relaxing. So I don't really see what obligation they have to give us more work than necessary and then tell us to go outside. So that's all.
Honestly, sorry to interrupt anyone else who's going to speak. I just want to say quickly, honestly, the only reason I'm still surviving is because our school has a system called formatives and summatives, where formatives don't count towards your actual grades and summatives do. The only reason I'm barely surviving, and I want to emphasize that I'm not doing well, I'm only barely treading water, is because I have not done a single formative since quarantine has started, because I just can't devote any mental energy to that. I can't.
Yeah, the way that the school, this whole situation pisses me off every single time it gets brought up. Every time I think about it, you guys, obviously, we all go to the same school. We're all familiar with, and I'll just say what it is, the safe to say thing that they do every year during our little, like, how long, 45-minute period, like once or twice a week. It doesn't do anything. Like, I'm not, like, why don't you have people that actually have struggled suggest solutions? And it's not like we haven't. Like, with the survey, we have showed evidence, like, stats of people struggling. And if they ask, and I'm sure if we, it's even worse, because I feel like if we say anything at this point to, like, provide any solution, they won't listen, which is in its own, like, the worst thing, because the fact that they're having that idea of
It has happened, though. That actually has happened.
Oh, really?
It's not probably. That has happened.
Okay, I was unaware of that part, but that even backs up my point even more. It's they just don't. I don't care how much they say that they care. They, excuse my French, they don't give a shit. Okay, even if they're like, oh, I'm really, it's really sad that you feel this way. I'm here to help. That's great. But I think there comes a time when you have to realize what you're doing to quote unquote help isn't doing anything. And you have to, like, actually turn to people who are struggling and actually ask them what they think is necessary. And I'm sure we can talk about possible solutions here, what we think could be changed. So I'll leave that aspect for you guys to talk about too if you want. But anyway, this whole situation always pisses me off because they don't know what they're doing. They don't. And this is why I want to get into psychology, is because the school system fails. Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying. If I may, I forgot what was I gonna say? Oh, what was I gonna say?
I'm so sorry.
I can go, because I have something to add on to what Irene was saying.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what I've seen is that it's like not that teachers in their own ways like don't help, because I personally have had some teachers that have just like been like, oh, it's okay, Kate, like just take a day and just breathe, and I'll give you an extension, and then we can talk about it more. And I've had heart-to-hearts with teachers that have never seen me in person. Like we've cried together. I've cried together with some of my teachers on Zoom. And I've said, like, hey, like, I'm really not doing well right now. Like, can I get an extension or can we just like figure out something because I need some help? And they've been fine. But the school itself, like, there are some teachers that obviously aren't that good at that either, but like the school itself too is just terrible at the end of the day. Like, teachers do their best, but at the end of the day, like, you can't do everything. Like, they can't do everything. And sadly, the school district trumps all at being terrible at helping us out with our mental health. Like, our IAs this year, one after another, after another, after another, it felt like a constant kick in the stomach. It was awful. And our teachers tried their best, they did. But, like, you know, they can only do so much because they couldn't do anything about the deadlines. They couldn't give us an extension because it was the IB and like our school district that was forcing us to do all of these things, stretching us thin. And it was awful, but they tried their best.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Shredder, we cannot hear you. We just heard blah, blah, blah. Also, just what I remember what I was going to say real quick. I was going to say that as someone who's actually been referred to SAMHSA before, it does not feel like someone's helping you. It feels like you're being called out. Like you get called down to the office and there's this whole big thing and they just like sit you down. Like, it feels like you've done something horribly wrong, and that's no way to talk to somebody. Like, I never want to do that again, because like I never want to go to the counselors for help again because of the way I was treated with the SAMHSA.
Speaking on that note, I have two things to say. Irene, I remember we were the same advisor, and when we had the SAMHSA last year in junior year, with the second time they introduced it to us and talked about how it's new and improved or something, we spent like 5 minutes reading this presentation or whatever, and like 30 minutes talking about how it's messed up and what we can do to change it. But Mrs. Our teacher, they did like listen to us, and they agree with us on some extent. But there's nothing that a teacher can voice that the administration is going to change. And when I went to like talk to my counselor about dropping a course because I was mentally unstable, they looked at my grades and they were like, "Oh, you're a B, C. That's nothing to worry about. Like, you have all A's besides that point. Like, straight A's don't like have like the mindset of being depressed or something." And then I told her like I can't handle this, and she was like, "Are you feeling like you're going to?" I'm like, "No, but if it continues like this, it's gonna." And then she started like probing me for like hints, as though like she wants to find excuses to call me suicidal, which she did. She found excuses to call me suicidal, and then the vice principal got called in, and then my parents got called, and then at the end I didn't get changed. They made me like sit down in seminar with the teacher and the class that I was struggling in, which I never improved upon. I still think about that time, and I can't like process that level of insincerity and like lack of like empathy or anything for a person struggling and who needs to get out of like a class, because I literally couldn't handle it. And they were like, "You can't get out of it because you have straight A's in math for the past 4 years. You can't get out of it now." I'm like, grades have nothing to do on a person's mental health, and I tried to get out of something and they didn't help me. That's how messed up our guidance system is, because they couldn't find a class for me in 7th period where I can go to math class in a different level. That was their excuse. They couldn't put it wasn't in their schedule.
Quick interruption. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, because it says that it's disconnected, but I can hear you guys, so I don't know. But I just wanted to say, this kind of goes into what I think Bobby mentioned about the counselors, and then also what Shveta mentioned. Actually, part of the reason why, because I have my mindset, even though I'm pretty I guess you'll call I'm very introverted, but like the way I think, if no one else is going to do it for me, then I'll do it myself and I'll fix it myself. So actually, Shraddha's situation is part of the reason why I actually wanted to pursue psychology like next year in college and stuff, because and if my counselor does come across this for some reason, I she's very nice. She's a very sweet person to me. She has reached out multiple times, like about twice, to me about my situation from a couple months ago. And I think the part that I hate most is that I don't feel comfortable talking to my counselors about my true feelings or situation. And maybe it's just the way I am, but I think part of the reason is also just because it I don't want to say that they're not trustworthy, but that's just what I'm gonna say because I can't think of the words. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it just I don't feel like it's a good idea for me to tell them how I genuinely feel. And I think part of the reason is because of the system, this just the way our school handles things. And also, I know that counselors, their main job isn't to be a therapist for their students. I understand that, and I think that might also be part of the reason why it's just difficult for me to open up. But anyway, Kate.
I think it's weird that like our counselors, because the counselors that I have spoken to, like they expect me if I like have issues to like automatically be emotionally vulnerable with them. Like, girl, I can't even be emotionally vulnerable with my own therapist yet. It's been 4 years. Like, we are still surface level. But like I don't know them like on a personal level. Like I don't even know their first names. Like at least tell me your first name before you expect me to spill my guts to you. And like I think that's the biggest problem. Like I have the same experience like Irene. Like I feel the same thing with you. Like if I'm like if I'm struggling in a class or like experiencing something and like my counselors want to like talk and like sit down and talk about it, like we're not really going to get anything done because it's like you said, it's not their job to be like a therapist. It's just their job to like act as like a support for students. But like be like no teenager, like no normal teenager is just automatically going to be like, oh yes, this adult wants to talk to me about my grades and emotional state, let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. Like that just we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Shweta, with the situation with you with the grades, it makes me so mad because it's just like obviously, school does affect mental health, but that doesn't mean that just because you have straight A's or you're like B's or whatever, or doing well, if you will, that doesn't mean that you don't that sounded wrong. That doesn't mean that there's no room for you to be depressed or just to be struggling mentally. And I like obviously a main actually I want to hear your opinions on this. I don't know how to really ask this, but as far as school being like a major, I guess, factor in mental and struggling with mental health, actually I don't know how to word this question at all. But like as far as school goes, how do you think we could, I guess, you know what? Actually, fuck this. I forgot what I was going to say. Lost my train of thought. But I don't know. I think because I think school is a major aspect of just mental health struggles, but also it's just other things. And I don't know how to make our school understand that and just like know like what to do, I guess, is my problem.
I mean, honestly, the best thing would probably be like a bold statement, like getting all the seniors not to do a skip day, but to do like a strike until they do something. But that would require coordination and unity that we do not have. So we're kind of fricked.
Also, the fact that, like, what are we gonna do? Like, not show up for Zooms? Like, we're online. We can't really do anything. Like, I don't know. Like, we tried a petition or whatever the survey was. Like, we tried that. We tried basically all of the things that should be practical ways of saying, fix this. They haven't listened. So, what else are we gonna do?
I mean, at this point, I think the best. I mean, I don't know if this is good, but like because all these things didn't work, I wouldn't mind being straightforward with a couple teachers. I mean, it would be really awkward just to be like, hey, our school doesn't actually care about our mental health, no matter how much you guys say that you do. It's obviously, like you said, it's not necessarily the teacher's fault because the teachers, they work for the system. So it's like they can do as much as they can for their own students for what they think. But like at the end of the day, if if the system's screwed, then I don't know.
There's a bunch of and students themselves who like support the system that we have, saying it's the only thing. Like I've talked with a couple students on this, but some of them are like, "Oh yeah, that's the most they can do. They're only counselors. Like, can't do anything about mental health because if you want more like help,
Shveta, your audio is getting so warped right now. Sorry.
okay, one second.
Shveta.exe has stopped responding.
She might be moving to a better area.
No, yeah, probably. But like
What?
we call those people kiss asses, the ones
Go
that
ahead.
were like, there's nothing more we can do. We call them kiss asses, and we
Well,
don't like them.
from my research to be a school counselor, I'm pretty sure they need don't they need a degree in psychology, right?
No.
They don't?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do. From what I
Wait, they don't?
researched. No, I think they do need at least a bachelor's or something. Or a master's. Actually, well, you guys can carry on, Shveta, while I research this.
Oh yeah, well, okay, but like I feel like even if there was a coordinated like protest or a strike or something, there's always going to be someone or some group who are against the idea of like rebelling. Like I don't know how I'm wording this, but they're fine with what we're given. I think
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like how there's always going to be a person who's like, I'm with the system. The system's good. This I think I know the people you're talking about. But I personally think, I don't know, that maybe that would only be like maybe 1% of all of the people at STEM, because like everybody I know is suffering, and I don't like that.
Okay, so you to be a school counselor, you need to earn at least a master's degree in school counseling or education psychology. So
What is education psychology, and how does it differ from
so my dad had to take my dad had to take, because he's a teacher, he had to take a couple courses in education psychology, I think, or just psychology in general. I don't know what they called it. I think it's mostly figuring out the different ways that students learn. I think that's part of it, and I also think it might be for special education. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it, but that might also be part of it. But I know it's like kind of understanding what what students learn better in what conditions, if that makes sense. Like, audio, people who learn better through listening, or like visual learners, kind of that sort of thing. But yeah.
I don't remember when I learned this or how I learned this or why I learned this. However, I learned about the different ways that children learn. And younger, especially developing elementary school level children, have different styles of learning than teenagers and adults do. So I think essentially, I might be wrong, but I think like education psychology and stuff like that is basically just like figuring out, like Irene said, like the conditions in which children learn and how to teach to the styles of learning that children have, because there's different styles of learning naturally, and then there's also like different ways you can cater towards those styles of learning. So I think that's basically just entirely what it is. So yeah.
I noticed how that has nothing to really do with mental health.
Yeah.
No, I thought that you needed one. I guess it's just like a choice because I think it says most school counselors start their careers with a bachelor's in counseling, education, or psychology. I guess I just read it or just researched wrong or something. I always thought that you needed a psych degree, but I guess not, which explains some stuff.
So yeah,
Explain to
basically,
my counselor.
Yeah, so basically they're saying they're qualified, but they're not actually qualified at all. I mean, maybe certain ones are. Maybe the ones at our school do have their psychology degrees. I don't know. But like it should be a bare minimum that people having to treat people who are like at this level of stress, like they should have at least some expertise. That should be like the bare minimum.
I think especially for such a high stress environment that we specifically like go to school in, it feels like not only a disservice but kind of insulting that we have no support group, because our school is literally known for, in the school district and in surrounding school district, to being one of the most stressful learning environments. Like,
Okay, here's the thing. Our math teacher, he said that he literally wouldn't let his kids go to the school district because it's so stressful. And he's the one causing some of us stress, so.
I mean, the one thing, my experience with him, luckily he's understanding when it comes to mental health, and I'm very appreciative of that. But at this point, I think I said this, like I said before. At this point, maybe we just need to be blunt and honest to our teachers, and it's difficult because God, do I hate that? Like, I don't know if I can be. Like, theoretically, I can be, but I don't know how much it would take for me to just like, for this to come up in like a class discussion and then to be like, well, what do you want me to do? And I raise my hand and I'm like, all right, listen, and just like tell them how it is. I don't know if I could do that, but at this point, I feel like that's what we should do. I don't know.
Here's the thing though, whenever we pull something like that, like when we talked about this with our math teacher, they always bring it up back to the point where like we're not doing enough work and we're not using our class time efficiently. Like, no, we're not going to use our class time efficiently because our environments are different and like we're not going to be the same like person every single day. Like they can't expect the same amount of productivity every single day in the same stupid environment again and again and again, as if like we're going to be perfectly fine with like minimal to no like social interactions, and like they can't expect us to be school either. Like, I think we as like humans need like more stimulus. We can't be in the same environment and expect like productivity for more than like a year or so. That's why a lot of people move jobs and like go to different places because it gives them stimulus to be productive.
I think a lot of it can come down to just educating people on what, like, first of all, what depression is. I think there's a misunderstanding when it comes to that. I don't have the true definition, I guess, but like, based on what I've experienced and doctors and stuff, I like have a better idea than I think most of our teachers think. I think there should be some sort of, maybe not course, I don't think that's the right word, just like some sort of quote unquote intervention on like just what it is. And I know technically safe to say is just like, here are the warning signs. But I don't know about you guys, but when I am having one of my episodes, I don't go on Twitter and post a picture with the hashtag bleed on it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't do that. And if you do, I don't know why. Throwback to last year during our advisory class. So that was a thing. It was also pretty offensive, right? I don't know if you guys.
Yes.
I think that just goes back to my point that they only care when it's too late, because doing that like posting a picture of like bleed, that's a last ditch cry for help. That's like, I'm about to kill myself, I need help, I'm showing you that I'm dead serious. And like the fact that like this is one of the initial warning signs, that's just like, no, that's one of the last ones. You have excuse my French, you fucked up if you just realizing now that something's wrong.
Yeah,
Actually, I think that's even wrong to say that that's a final warning sign, because that is something that is literally made up. I've never heard of anyone doing that. I cannot fathom anyone
That is
doing
true.
that.
Like, I didn't mean that specific thing, but like,
It-
I mean like posting warning things on social media in general is just like a last ditch cry for help, because usually, like Irene said, most people just curl up and hide it. So yeah,
Also,
but I
like-
understand that like the whole bleed thing, that's not real.
Yeah, and I think Paige.
it's like a caricature of like actual mental health. Like it's insulting.
It's
also
very
after
insulting.
doing that, sorry.
No, go ahead.
After doing some like putting a picture like that, like someone like crying out for help and like the last ditch thing, so insensitive to what happened like a few months before with the person in our district who committed suicide and posted something very like dangerous on social media. Like that's so insulting in my opinion.
Oh god, that made me lose sleep, and it makes me so upset, because it's just, you can't imagine how that person must have felt, or how their family must have felt after that. It's so upsetting, and Paige wasn't able to make it right now, but I remember she was in our class while this was happening, and they also, I don't know if it was under the same hashtag bleed thing, but like I think they posted, or they used a picture of of literal self-harm, and they just put it in the video. They didn't blur it out or anything. I'm pretty sure it was just there. And I remember Paige said something like, this is very like, this is awful, and very like, just what do you call it? It's very triggering, if you will. It's I can't believe that our school did this. Like,
To be fair, it was the state of Pennsylvania, which is even more insulting, because you think that a state would have the actual resources to tell you, no, this is not something you should do. Like the state of Pennsylvania decided, this is a video that we should create.
Yeah, that, and also I'm pretty sure weren't like, I know they were reading off a script, let's be real here, but there were teenagers in the video. And I wonder how they felt after they saw that, because if I were, there, and they were like showing me the video just like before I was speaking in the video, I would probably be like, I'm not gonna be in this. It's so gross.
They were brainwashed or something. Like they probably thought that there was a good initiative or something for like a hotline or like a safety source, but it was really like last ditch. Like, oh, we need something like to help out the kids and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's probably kids who support the school system, like some people do in our school.
And the intentions, like, the intentions are good, I guess, but it's just, at this point, it's been so long since I'm able to even justify anything as their intentions are good, because the way that they're executing this is just, I hate every bit of what was happening. Yes.
And also, it's like, as a last resort, they could literally just ask us what we want and implement it. Like, as we've said before, like, we've mentioned what we want and what is not okay, and yet they've, not been willing to do anything about it. So like I just don't understand. And even if we're honest, like Irene said, like they're just gonna make an excuse and say, oh, it's because, you know, you're not focusing on school or something, and then they're just gonna turn it into a bigger issue than it has to be, and it's just not gonna happen.
Why do we only have one mental health day in the whole year? We have one mental health day after like exams or something. Why can't we have a mental health day where they bring in like toys and they make us play out in the field every single month? Like, why can't we have a field day every month?
Yeah.
Because that would be a lot of money, and we don't want you guys to be distracted from your education.
Actually, in Delaware, there's this person that I know who they have a mental health day like every Wednesday of every week. And I can tell you right now, they're a lot more happier than any of
That's
the people
so
in our school.
sweet. God, see, at this point, it's gotten so bad that I don't think like a mental health day is gonna do much for me. I think I need like a month. I'm not even joking. Like a mental health day
Honestly,
does help
same.
me, but like at this point, it's built up so bad. I need like a month to just do what I want.
Oh,
And
you
I
want to
get
hear
a
some more
month.
stupid stuff?
Sorry.
Apparently, I was talking to this. Oh, please cut the word
I'll
out.
cut the name out.
I was talking to a about this during our seminar period, and apparently the head of our administration, the district wants to cancel the half day Friday thing because we're moving into we're trying to move into a 3 feet distance, which isn't gonna happen, but we know it's not gonna happen. But they want to remove the half days on Friday. Like that's their goal ultimately. And not gonna lie, the half days on Thursdays is when I get the most work done in the whole entire week.
I will
That
write.
is the worst thing that they could possibly do. Not only is our state number 49 or 48 on the worst states with vaccines right now, but we also have the highest spreading rate. And I couldn't even visit a school that I was planning on going to, like that I'm planning on going to for a 5-day weekend, for the 5-day weekend, because I had to, because they just don't permit, they don't permit people with higher than 15% spread rate. We have a 33% spread rate last time I checked. That is over double the amount of double the permittable rate in that state. It's ridiculous. Like, just let us actually be able to go back to a normal environment. Like, let it happen naturally instead of forcing it. I hate it. So yeah.
Yeah,
Our school district is trash sometimes.
honestly, this is somewhat if like the person grading this as part of our school, this is a cry for help. Do something, please. Don't just like be like, we're joking, blah blah blah. We're not joking. This is dead serious.
I mean, I do make jokes. This is why I'm so funny, guys. No, it's because of my mental health. No, but I know when Shveta, you mentioned going into a breakout room and talking to our math teacher about this, and then just saying, "Oh, it's because you don't use your time wisely to finish work." It's just knowing that that's how they perceive this whole mental health thing is very upsetting. And I remember, like, it's also just the loss of motivation. That's a major part of it. Some days I literally just can't get out of bed, but I have to because I have to have my camera on for fourth period, and otherwise I'll be marked absent or whatever. And it's gross. And I remember, I think the same teacher said, like, just like, okay, well, how much is your mental health being affected by your personal problems and school? Okay, if it's both, then like I don't know what his point was, Shweta, if I don't know if you remember this, but I hated it because I'm just like, well, it's both. And even if it was just personal, then it's obviously like you could cut back on the whole schoolwork workload thing. I don't know what he was trying to get at.
And in the fact that some teachers are like, oh yeah, we give you like ample time in class. Like, okay, here's the thing: some of us are dumb, like I am in math, but we can't finish the work that you give in class. We're obviously going to work outside of class, and some of us have like learning disabilities. Some of us literally cannot work in the allocated time, and you're here like, Bobby, I'll let you speak in a while. And you're here like, oh yeah, we give you enough time. You're not supposed to do like more than 1 hour of homework. Well, here's the thing. I don't know why we're doing 3 hours of homework if you just, could slow down the pace. Like, instead of doing 5 chapters a marking period, how about 2 or 3 at most?
Honestly, like, I know the class you're talking about. I was in that class, and that's the reason I had to drop it. Like, one of the contributing reasons to why I had my huge mental breakdown was that class. And that teacher moves way too fast. Like, I have ADHD and autism, and I need to solidify information before, like, once I have something solidified, I'm a genius with it. But he would never give me enough time to have the information memorized. It would always be way too fast. And it was annoying, and I felt stupid and dumb because I kept getting bad grades in his class. And like, he needs to learn that his teaching style may work for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone.
I'm gonna say it now.
Also, this teacher.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just saying, this teacher has decided, despite the fact that both our school and the IB itself has said that the IB exams are not feasible or safe to conduct, he's going to conduct his own IB exams because he loves his students. That was sarcasm, by the way.
Yes, I'm going to say this once, and I'll probably say it again. Taking that class has been the biggest regret of my entire life thus far, and I am not joking in any capacity. Go ahead, Shweta.
I've tried to drop it. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, like, I think 50% of his students aren't the people that he wants them to be. And I'm sorry that we aren't, like, super good. We're not going to get 7s on our IB exams, but I get that you're also putting a giant curve on your quote-unquote mock IA exam. But I'm sorry, we're not going to improve with your system. We're not going to learn with your system because it's outdated. It's very outdated that you went to the whole system when you were a high school student. Like, the school system needs to evolve. I'm not saying that it's entirely messed up right now. I'm saying that it's outdated. I'm saying that the way we learn has progressed so far that I'm not learning as much as I'm learning from like random like Insta articles.
Society has progressed beyond the need for HL math.
Facts.
Yes. Also, it's not like I don't want to be rude, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not like the US can't do anything about it, because if you look at other countries, for example, like Finland, they're doing amazing. So what I don't understand is, if we just put our egos aside and just look at their system and, become friends with them and like copy it, or, modify ours so that it's, better, it would be better for everyone. But obviously the US is egotistical and they're not going to do anything about it. So this is a joke, but you know what? I'm not going to.
The US is fucked.
Here's the thing.
What if I just go to the FBI agent's house and I'm like, look, we're going to have a talk right now?
That's it, Tisha. That sounds like something you'd say if you had a concealed firearm. Anyway,
I just want to talk. Just a loads gun. Anyway, that was very American.
What I was going to say was, the United States, honestly, in my mind, a lot of things in the United States, a lot of like both political and like issues like this come down to one thing versus another, and that thing is tradition versus evolution. Whether you should do things the way that they were always done, or whether we should change things and do things different. And a lot of people, you can kind of guess which political party this is, wants to keep things the way they are and thinks that things are perfect the way they are, but in reality they're not. And that I personally think we should start trying some new things to see if we can make it even better.
Thank God this is my senior year, because if this wasn't, I don't know how I could make it past another like year or couple years of high school. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm so excited for college.
Oh, and also it's sad that school has made me like love stuff that I used to and like love so much. Like it's making me love things a little less. Sorry for bringing up a reference to a stupid book that we had to read, but I wish like we talked
Be
with this
quote
to
unquote.
our like yeah we talked with this about to our lit teacher, but why are we reading stuff that we don't care about? Like I'm sorry, but yes, we need to learn our culture, but there's more books that are really being released right now that teach me more than I don't know reading Tom Sawyer. Like
Literally, like our teachers, the fact that our teachers are able to read like Stamped, like they literally have a book club. Like I know that our teachers have a book club because they've told us about it. Our teachers are reading Stamped, a book that teaches us far more than about racism and like what's ingrained into our society. I haven't read it, but my parents have read it. You know why? Because I have so many other trash books I need to read for HL Lit. Anyways, that book is so good, and like the fact that our teachers get to read Stamped, but we're sitting here reading like A Mercy and Native Son, two books that I got like a chapter into Native Son because I was told like 3 days before it was actually due that it was due in a week, or like at the beginning of the next week. So I got a chapter into Native Son. It's about 600 pages long. And A Mercy, I still haven't read yet, but like
we don't read it.
like I just don't get it. I just don't get like why do our teachers sit here preaching about like, oh, these books are so good, so educational, blah 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 blah, we should read them. And I know that it's like IB curriculum, whatever, but at the same time, like I used to love reading so much. I used to love it so much. It was my favorite hobby. And then I got into middle school. And then I got into high school. And then I associate reading with like absolute, like, I just dread reading. I dread picking up a book now because I associate it with such strong negative emotions. Because
Shouldn't happen. Like
yeah,
I feel the same exact way.
Same
I'm
here.
not. Yeah, I want
Like-
to. I think it's the. I don't care. Okay, because there's like a saying like, if you what do you call it? If you have a goal, like don't tell people. But I don't give a shit. So, actually, one of my goals is to get back into reading this summer because this is one of the first summers that I have that's genuinely free, if you will. Because school has ruined books for me. You know, it's like and I'm not. It's like the same concept with just like schoolwork in general. The reason why I'm not getting it done is because every time I go to sit down and do this work, it's obviously just it brings negative emotions, and it's just not. I just want to avoid those emotions as much as possible. So I wish that the school system didn't do this to books. I used to love reading. I would read like 2 books in like a week, or maybe 3, like a book a day. I don't know, but can't do that anymore.
I also
wanted to
like
finish the library in middle school. Now I can't even read a single book in like 6 months.
I also feel like the books they sometimes choose for us are very poor choices. Like one we read recently, the God of Small Things. Like I was very uncomfortable reading that book, not because of because of the content, but like not because it was like from a woman's perspective or something like that. It was because it was just so sexualized. It was really disgusting. Like
The ending.
And then there was a whole scene trigger warning, by the way. There was a whole scene about a young boy getting molested. Like, and it was in vivid detail. I mean, like, I can take an implication. You don't have to describe to me how that works.
I mean,
Also,
oh, sorry.
go on.
Okay, I mean, in a way, it's like, I don't want to say it's good that they're. I know they're trying to, I guess, have their students learn more about different cultures. I know the intent, like what the intention is. It's not very effective, but yeah, I get what you mean, Bobby. It was uncomfortable. I'm glad that they're trying to, I guess, educate us about these things in different ways, but there are different ways to do that. I don't know. I'm like on the fence with it. That's all.
I'm just saying, out of all the Indian literature, they chose that book, and I feel it really, really disgusting.
I'm also really angry at the fact that, like, you know, we always have like our token racism book or whatever, like, you know, where we always like sit down and we discuss slavery and stuff like that. And we've done it. We've had these types of books since I think like 7th or 8th grade. And like I understand like that they want us to like talk about it and everything like that, but there are other, and I'm not at all saying that it's something bad, but I'm just also saying like there are other groups that we could talk about. Like we did, I think, 2 books in like the past 6 years on like on World War II and stuff like that. We have one book in 12th grade for HL Lit, one book in 12th grade for HL Lit on an LGBT character. And we've talked about it in history class. Like I think the lavender scare, I think we discussed it like once, like for maybe a week in history class in sophomore year. And I just think like, I personally, sorry, I'm like gonna tear up or something like that, because I did a survey earlier this year on LGBT issues, and the amount of, like, in our extremely progressive school, I got such violently homophobic responses. And I think that all of this could have been solved if we actually like are open and discuss like LGBT issues. And I think like I think it would be nicer if we could share the platform too with other issues, because if we don't talk about them, then things like that will fester. And I do understand the sentiment that we should discuss like racism and slavery and all that stuff, but we've been doing it since like 6th grade in history class and beyond. And I think it's also important to bring to light other issues, and especially in America. So yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to take any attention away from what you're saying, and I believe that's important, but if I may share my story, as you probably know if you've watched our other podcasts, I am neurodivergent. There has not been one book about neurodivergence in literature, and I was actively told in psych that this class would not be about me. It would be about neurotypical individuals, and we would not be looking at the neurodivergent side of things. And that like kind of crushed my spirit, to be honest. And it made me really like almost resent the class, because it's like, well, why am I taking this? I want to learn about my condition. I want to learn about people like me. Why do you have to be so like, excuse my French, such a bitch about it? Be like, oh, I'm sorry, we're not going to be looking at your condition in my class.
That is so.
We're going to be talking about monkeys and babies crying instead of actual real life things that matter. Let's talk about resilience, guys. Oh my God, let's talk about resilience.
Let's have you memorize like 30 studies that you won't remember, and instead of actually discussing about modern things.
Let's have you memorize about memorization.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be about memorization. Fuck that shit. I fully am writing my timed writing. I got the study guide open. Like I'm not fucking memorizing anything. Like that, all the assessments in that class are open note for me. I fucking hate it so much.
Me too.
Can we wrap stuff up now? Because I think Taylor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wait.
So yeah, thank you for watching this special episode of the podcast. Again, there will be a bunch of different links in the description below about mental health related things if you need them. And please remember to take care of yourself. The world may not be kind, so please be kind to yourself.
We love you, even if nobody else does. We do.
And remember, at the end of the day, take care of yourself, because as weird as it sounds, you're stuck with yourself. And this helps me. I know it sounds kind of odd, but it does help me when I think about it, So that's why I just gotta deal with myself and take care of who I am. We love you. Uwu.
Thank you for listening to our 4-part podcast series, Far Out. And if you've gone this far, even if you were like someone who isn't subscribed or something, thank you for being part of this journey with us, and thank you for listening to our stories and our issues. And if you really want to voice out, if you really want to like hear more about some stuff, you can reach out. But thank you anyway.
I
If you're
hope
a
you got
member of
emotionally
faculty-
attached to our voices.
Sorry, Kate, can you repeat that? I kind of cut you off.
I hope you got emotionally attached to our voices.
Indeed. And if you are an administrator or something, pay attention to your students. Like, we may seem like we're okay, but a lot of times we're not. So just like actually don't like pretend to care, actually care and actually check in. All right. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week, I guess. Probably not with a special episode though.
We'll see. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh no, Taylor forgot their proposed